This is one that you know. Come, come, whoever you are, wander, worship, lover of the evening. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wander, worship, lover of the evening. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wander, worship, lover of the evening. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, lover of the evening. Ours is no caravan, whoever you are, wander, worship, lover of the evening. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, lover of the evening. Ours is no caravan, whoever you are, wander, worship, lover of the evening. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, lover of the evening. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm Reverend Jessica, the minister at Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. This morning, the tech we are using is Zoom webinar. We'll be using Zoom webinar from now on for worship. And this is a little different than Zoom meeting because in webinar, you all can see the worship leaders, myself and Bonner. But you can't see one another and we can't see you, and that's okay. For the next hour, that's the way it's supposed to be. You will get the opportunity to see one another's faces after the service at our coffee hour. And the link I will put into the chat. So feel free, and it needs a password actually. So feel free to interact on the chat. Make sure if you want everyone to see it that you are sending it to everyone, all panelists and attendees. Bonner and I will be monitoring the chat, and if you are phoning in today, welcome, or if you can't access the chat, we're still so glad that you are here. We are with you. In addition to Kitsap UU Fellowship, we have Cedars UU here this morning, so welcome to you Cedar folks. I invite you all to follow along in the order of service. The link I put in the chat, I will put that again for you. And we're going back and forth between live and screen share today, so please settle in as we begin with our musical call to worship, a song by Peter Mayer called Holy Now.
When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick said anything is here at home. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with the reverend air, 'cause everything is holy now. Testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverend air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Good morning. Welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you have come from, or whatever your comfort with modern technology, for this hour, we are one gathered congregation and all are welcome. My name is Bonner Sams, and I've been a member of the worship committee for just over a year now. And I've been coordinating various services, and I'm coordinating but also lay leading today's service. And I've been a member of KUUF for just over 10 years, and I love it. So, and our worship leader this morning is our very own Reverend Jessica Starr Rockers, who is broadcasting live from her Bainbridge Island home, with me coming to you all from the confines of my bedroom in West Bremerton. I'd like to welcome any visitors. Please introduce yourself in our chat section along with where you are from. We welcome more interaction with all during our after service hour coffee hour. The messages are on our website, which is kuuf.org, or our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. And now you are invited to light a personal chalice or candle in your home as I read these chalice lighting words. We can trust the light. May we remember that this flame we light has a source other than us, one we cannot control, but we can count on. And so today, may we lean into trust enough to let go, to put the vigilance down, to pause and stop all the striving. We can trust in the light. May this be the faith we rekindle today. So please join me in the spoken affirmation. The words will appear on your screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. And so this is my lit chalice that I lit a few minutes ago, but my screen share was turned off. And now it is time for our morning offering. Please click onto the link in the chat section. You have the option in the notes section of paypal.me to distinguish where you want your contribution to go. Either the KUUF General Fund, the Minister's Discretionary Fund, which helps our members in need, or our monthly charitable giving recipient, which is the Lord's Neighborhood Diner, which has ceased providing meals during the current pandemic, but is contributing resources to another local organization now, which I think it's the Salvation Army that they're contributing resources to, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me. If this is your first time at KUUF, please let the basket pass by not contributing, as you are our guest. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our community, which is sacred to so many. And now I turn off the video to let Reverend Jessica Star Rockers she's going to do our story for all ages, or also known as the children's story.
Thank you, Bonner. So in our in-person worship services, this is the time in the service when we usually invite the children forward to sit in the front of our sanctuary. So for the next few minutes, all of you children, the young and young at heart, I want to invite you to maybe sit a little bit closer to the screen, because I want to tell you the story of our chalice. This is an important thing to remember right now. At the start of our service, we invited us all to light our chalices at home together, because the chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, and it is what connects us, especially when we are apart from one another. It connects us in our homes, and it connects us to other Unitarian Universalists all around the world. And we don't have to just light our chalice in a worship service or during religious exploration classes. You light our chalices for just about everything. We light it at the start of meetings or meals or small group sharing circles. We even light them when we are alone. And you could light your chalice every day if you wanted to. In the morning, you could light it and think about how you want to spend your day. Or in the evening, you could light it at dinner and say thank you to all the people who made your food. Or before bed, you could light your chalice and think about how grateful you are for the day that you had. Now, a chalice is just a candle, really, a candle in a bowl, essentially. So even if you think you don't have a chalice at home, you probably have a candle and a bowl. So you might be wondering, where did our chalice come from? And how did it become the symbol of Unitarian Universalism? Well, during World War II, when UUs were helping refugees escape Nazi-occupied Europe, they would use the chalice symbol as a way to show people who were in danger that they were there to help. It was a sign to say, we are all in this together. And when you are quarantined at home and you light your chalice, I want you to remember that we are all in this together. You are not alone. This is what our chalice symbolizes. Even if we can't be together in person, we are together through the lights of our many chalices. And so now we're going to sing a song, because why not? And I actually have my backup singers with me today. And we're going to sing this song. This is the same song we're going to sing for every service. We're going to remember to shine our lights. You're going to need your chair. So I have William and Liam here with me. They're going to help me sing this song. Okay. You're going to have to lean in.
I'm leaning in.
Okay. So this song is This Little Light of Mine. This little light
light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Sunshine.
Even when I'm home.
Even when I'm home. I'm gonna
Let it shine.
even when I'm home.
I can hear you, Bonner.
I'm gonna let it shine. Even when I'm home. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
When I think of you.
When I think of you, I'm gonna let it shine. When I think of you, I'm gonna let it shine. When I think of you, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
This little light of mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Let it shine.
Let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you. Thank you. Singers, I appreciate you. All right. And thank you, everybody who was singing, and Bonner for singing, everybody who was singing. I could feel you all singing with us. So now is the time in our service when we have our joys and sorrows. Though we are physically distanced from one another, our hearts and our spirits remain connected. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened. If you have a particular joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to put it in the chat this morning. And I'm going to try to follow along and read some of those aloud. Joy to Celine and the Caring Committee for reaching out. This is from Annie and Hazel. They say thank you. Amelia misses our dog Jake, who is staying with grandparents. This is from the Demics. Carol Ann Davidson says, it is a joy to be together. Rowan Starica is now sitting up. Oh my goodness, wonderful, Rowan. Joe Walter shares a concern for mom who's still in the hospital but out of ICU. Joe, we're sending your mom all our love and blessings. Bunny says, sorrow that we had to cancel our trip to see family for Easter. Sebastian says, joy for still being employed. Marcia Christian, we have a joy and a sorrow that our oldest daughter, Emma, a student at Star King, was diagnosed with chronic fatigue after 8 months of searching. Joy for time to go on walks and just be, from Liz and Brian. Donna Moore says, great fun to see you again, Liam and William. Beth Wilson has a concern for all our sisters and brothers around the world who are ill. Jessica Demick says, from Maya, Maya misses her best friend, Ada. Aaron and Francis, joy, my sister gave birth to a beautiful, healthy boy, Reed, on March 18th. And joy to be with you all this morning. Catherine Woods, joy for my brother Thomas, who got engaged today. Congratulations. Well, thank you everybody for sharing your joys and your sorrows with us this morning. May you who shared this morning feel the love of this community surrounding you and holding you close. And for all those who didn't have access to the chat or whose joy or sorrow is too tender to share, our hearts are with you. May the spirit of life and love bring peace to us all. Amen, and blessed be.
There's an African American song, 19th century, which is so great. It says, when it looked like the sun wasn't gonna shine anymore, God put a rainbow in the clouds. Imagine. And I've had so many rainbows in my clouds. I had a lot of clouds. But I have had so many rainbows. And one of the things I do when I step up on a stage, when I stand up to translate, when I go to teach my classes, when I go to direct a movie, I bring everyone who has ever been kind to me with me. Black, white, Asian, Spanish-speaking, Native American, gay, straight, everybody. I say, come with me. I'm going on the stage. Come with me, I need you now. Long dead, you see? So I don't ever feel I have no help. I've had rainbows in my clouds. And the thing to do, it seems to me, is to prepare yourself so that you can be a rainbow in somebody else's cloud. Somebody who may not look like you, may not call God the same name you call God, if they call God at all. You see? I may not eat the same dishes prepared the way you do, may not dance your dances or speak your language, but be a blessing to somebody. That's what I think.
So, if you recall, a couple weeks ago, I said that I had gotten hatching eggs from a local poultry breeder to give me something joyful to focus on while staying self-quarantined at home. Well, I've had the eggs in an incubator, and I've been waiting for them to hatch. And I will be honest with you, even though I had read that it would take 21 days, almost 21 days exactly, for these little eggs to hatch, on day 18, when I didn't see any movement, I started to lose hope. I mean, the eggs were just sitting there so quiet. I was worried that nothing was going to happen. Somehow, I must have done something wrong. Maybe the humidity had been wrong. Maybe the temperature was off. Maybe the eggs were just bad to begin with. Maybe I was just bad at hatching eggs. As I began to reconcile myself with this reality that my hatch rate would be 0, yesterday, well, actually late the night before, 21 days almost exactly, my family and I watched as the first little chick hatched from its egg. And it was kind of disgusting. Actually, the chick struggled so hard to come out, and it took such a long time. And then it was covered in goo and still all kind of egg-shaped. It couldn't walk, and its eyes wouldn't open, and it just laid there. And I worried that it wasn't going to make it. And it kept falling asleep. But it was late at night, so we thought, well, let's leave the chick alone to sleep it off. Maybe by morning, things will have improved. Well, the next morning, we went in, and there were 5 chicks, all hatched out of their eggs. And a few hours later, there were 9 chicks, 9 baby chicks happily chirping away. And I had almost given up hope. And I wonder, why was I so quick to despair? And I think during this time of self-quarantine and physical distance that I am struggling with patience. We are all sitting here in our eggs, and it is quiet, and we don't know what's happening, and we don't know when it will end. For many of us, it feels like we should be doing a lot more than we are doing. We are used to being so productive in our culture, Western capitalist culture. A person's worth is often judged by how much they can accomplish. And most of us are sheltered at home. Some of us trying to work as we did and produce as we did and do all the things we did before. Some of us thinking we're going to do more, like learn a new language or a musical instrument. Some of us now without a job at all, unsure of the future, unsure of how to spend this time. Shouldn't we be doing something? There are those of us who have to go out, and we wonder, are we putting our loved ones at risk? Maybe we've even had to distance ourselves from our loved ones to keep them safe. Well, all of us, whether we are self-quarantined or not, we are all physically distancing ourselves. We are all in our little eggs, focusing on the basics, like eating and sleeping and caring for ourselves. And this is really all we need to be doing. We don't have to do more than this. Care for ourselves and our loved ones, care for our bodies, and rest as much as we can. In the midst of the grief and the trauma and the fear and uncertainty, we need to remember ourselves, our mental and emotional health is the highest priority. Feeling overwhelmed or uncertain right now is a reasonable response to the situation in which we find ourselves. And we have to take time to care for ourselves first. Once we are sure that we have rested and taken care of ourselves, then we can care for those in our immediate sphere, in our home and our family. After that, we can begin to think about being of service to our church or fellowship, reaching out to one another, making phone calls or sending emails. And then when we have tended to all of those things, we can reach out to the wider community. Some days it will be only ourselves that we care for, and that's fine. When we are having a rough day, we can remember the egg, focus on sleeping and eating, stretch and move our bodies. Then when we feel strong enough, we can tend to our circles. It is the start of Holy Week in the Christian calendar, which means next Sunday is Easter, when you celebrate rebirth and the blooming of springtime and the blooming of all that is inside ourselves as well, that lay dormant through the winter. The Surgeon General said this morning that this week we need to definitely stay home more than ever. And so as we prepare for that moment when we struggle out of our shells, we might take this opportunity, this week in particular, to rest. We can be sure that we will emerge from these eggs. We will emerge. And like someone reminded me yesterday, don't rush the chicks out of their shell. This can't be hurried along. In the meantime, there is no sense in trying to live as we did, or accomplish or produce or work as we did. Our bodies and our hearts and our minds are doing other work. This is our time to rest as much as we are able. And I know not everyone is able, but we should all try to find that pocket of air inside our shell and take a deep breath. Reach out to me or a friend if you need help, making time or space to rest. And remember those eggs. If those chicks had come out of their eggs on day 18 when I wanted them to, they wouldn't have been ready. If I'd helped them out of their shells, they wouldn't have had the strength that they will need later on. And a lot is going to be asked of them later on. Make no mistake, they will be laying eggs themselves one day. But for now, they have another job. Eat and sleep and stay warm. And this is what I wish for you and myself and my family. May you find the time and space to do the work that we are being called to do right now, to rest and prepare for what comes next. It will come. And if we rest, we will be ready for it. Amen and blessed be. Now please join me in singing our closing hymn, dedicated to Bill Withers. May we all remember we are not alone. We can lean on one another. Though we might be in separate eggs right now, we are here together. So I invite you now to, before we go, to set an intention and choose your word for the week ahead. One word. And if you feel called to put it in the chat, I will read our words aloud. My word for this week is, you may have guessed it, it is to rest. So I'm going to open the chat window. Perseverance. Oh, Amelia says meditate. Gentleness and care. Accept. Self-compassion. Gratitude. Organize. Maya says love. Presence. Calm. Endurance. Love. Create. Love. Patience with myself and others. Listen. Patience. Optimism for the future. Connection. Hug, I think I said that right, from Grace, which is the Danish word for cozy. Acceptance, hope, love, steadfastness, hope, love, hope and encouragement. Listen from Donna Moore. Love my life, love my family, love my friends. Heidi says gratitude. Create from Chris. Ed Luby says to rock on and persevere. Well, thank you everybody for sharing your intentions. May those words that I spoke aloud that came from your heart and outward go into all our hearts. May we carry them with us this week. Now let us extinguish our chalice this morning, and in honor of our guests this morning, we're going to use the Cedar's chalice extinguishing words. And I believe I have them. I do. So if you will say them with me, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you so much for being here. Please join us for coffee hour, and we'll put the link and the password which you need to get in the chat.
So FYI, this is Bonner.
Wash your hands. Hallelujah. Go wash your hands. If you don't know Corona, wash your hands. Go wash your hands. All right. Wash your hands. Go wash your hands. If you don't know Corona, wash your hands. Go wash your hands. Wash your hands. Hallelujah. Go wash your hands. If you don't want Corona, wash your hands.